Your Richest Self, written and published by Rich Audiobooks. There's a version of you living with clarity, confidence, and complete abundance, and it's time to meet them. Your richest self isn't a fantasy. It's the future waiting for you to align, decide, and rise. This book is your guide to uncovering the mindset, habits, and inner power that unlock wealth not just in money, but in meaning, purpose, and joy. You don't become rich by changing everything. You become rich by becoming more of who you really are. The real you is already powerful, already worthy, already capable. So ask yourself, what's standing between you and your richest self? And are you finally ready to let it go? Lesson 1. Visualize the wealthiest version of you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine meeting your richest self. Not just financially wealthy, but rich in every sense of the word, abundant in joy, purpose, impact, and possibilities. This version of you moves differently through the world, makes decisions from a place of power, and lives life on an entirely different frequency. The fascinating truth is that this person already exists within you, waiting to emerge. Your brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you engage in deep visualization, you create new neural pathways that begin reshaping your identity from the inside out. This isn't mere daydreaming, it's the intentional architecture of your future self. The most successful people in history have used this practice to manifest their greatest achievements long before they became reality. Start by getting specific about the details of your richest self. How do they start their morning? What does their workspace look like? Who do they spend time with? What kind of conversations do they have? The more sensory detail you can integrate, the more real this identity becomes to your subconscious mind. Notice how they carry themselves, the confidence in their voice, the certainty in their decisions. This is not an exercise in fantasy, it's a blueprint for transformation. Your richest self likely has different habits, beliefs, and standards than your current identity. They might wake up earlier, invest more strategically, or say no to opportunities that don't align with their highest vision. They probably have a different relationship with money, seeing it as a tool for impact rather than a source of stress. By clearly identifying these differences, you create a roadmap for personal evolution. The gap between who you are today and your richest self might feel vast, but remember that every great transformation begins with a clear vision. Start embodying small aspects of this future identity today. Perhaps it's making one decision as your richest self would, having one conversation with their level of confidence, or spending 15 minutes in their morning routine. These micro-shifts compound over time, gradually bridging the gap between current and future reality. As you develop this practice, you may notice resistance arising. Old beliefs about what's possible for you, fears about standing out, or doubts about deserving success might surface. Welcome these as opportunities for growth. Your richest self has already moved beyond these limitations. They understand that wealth, in all its forms, is a natural expression of living in alignment with their highest potential. The practice of visualization becomes most powerful when integrated into daily life. Create a dedicated space and time for connecting with your richest self. Write from their perspective in your journal. Make decisions by asking what they would do. Let their wisdom guide your choices, their confidence inform your actions, and their vision inspire your path forward. Your richest self isn't some distant future version of you. They're an aspect of who you are right now, waiting to be acknowledged and expressed. The more consistently you connect with and embody this identity, the more naturally your external reality will shift to match this internal evolution. Every person who has created extraordinary wealth and success started exactly where you are now, by first seeing it clearly in their mind's eye. Your richest self is calling you forward into a life of greater possibility, impact, and abundance. They know what you're capable of becoming. They've already walked the path you're about to travel. Through consistent visualization and embodiment, you begin the magnificent journey of becoming the person who changed everything. Lesson 2. Define your rich core beliefs. Your relationship with wealth begins in your mind, specifically with the core beliefs you hold about money, success, and your worthiness to receive abundance. These beliefs act as the invisible architecture of your financial reality, silently directing your decisions, actions, and ultimately your results. Think of your beliefs as the operating system running in the background of your life. Just as a computer can only execute what its programming allows, you can only create wealth to the extent your beliefs support it. Many people struggle financially not because they lack capability or opportunity, but because their internal beliefs actively work against their desires for greater prosperity. Recurrent money beliefs likely formed during childhood, absorbed from parents, teachers, society, and early experiences with finances. Perhaps you witnessed struggles, heard phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," or internalized messages about rich people being greedy or unethical. These impressions created deep grooves in your psychological landscape that still influence how you interact with money today. The good news is that beliefs are learned, which means they can be unlearned and replaced. Begin by bringing awareness to your existing beliefs about wealth. When you think about having abundant money, what emotions arise? What stories do you tell yourself about wealthy people? What do you believe is possible or impossible regarding your own financial potential? Write down everything that surfaces without judgment. Now imagine your richest self. What beliefs would they need to hold to create and sustain great wealth? They might believe, money flows easily to me, I create value worthy of abundant compensation, or managing large sums of money comes naturally to me. The key is identifying beliefs that feel both expansive and authentic rather than forced or false. The bridge between your current beliefs and your richest self's beliefs is built through daily practice and evidence gathering. Start small by choosing one new belief to embody each week. Look for proof that supports this belief in your daily life, no matter how minor. Did someone compliment your work? Did you save more than expected? Did an unexpected opportunity arise? Each piece of evidence helps cement the new belief into your identity. Your environment plays a crucial role in this belief transformation. Surround yourself with people, information, and experiences that normalize wealth and reinforce your new beliefs. Read biographies of self-made millionaires, join masterminds with ambitious peers, study wealth creation strategies. The more you immerse yourself in prosperity-minded contexts, the more natural wealthy thinking becomes. Beliefs create a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe money is scarce, you'll notice every financial limitation. When you believe opportunities abound, you'll spot potential everywhere. Your richest self operates from beliefs that make wealth generation inevitable rather than exceptional. They see money as a neutral tool for creating value and impact rather than a source of stress or struggle. As your beliefs shift, you'll notice your decisions and actions automatically aligning with greater prosperity. You'll feel more confident negotiating, more inspired to create value, and more natural in pursuing ambitious goals. Your new beliefs will create a foundation for sustainable wealth that grows stronger over time, supporting not just financial abundance, but a complete transformation into your richest self. Lesson 3. Act from the future, not the past. Your richest self exists in a timeline where different choices were made and different patterns established. The beauty is that you can step into that timeline right now by making decisions from your future perspective rather than your historical one. This mental shift transforms how you approach every financial and life choice before you. Consider how your past experiences with money have shaped your current decisions. Perhaps you grew up watching your parents struggle with debt, leading you to avoid investing or taking calculated risks. Maybe previous business failures have made you overly cautious about new opportunities. These historical patterns, while understandable, anchor you to a reality that your richest self has already transcended. The key to breaking free lies in asking yourself, what would my richest self do in this situation, rather than, what have I always done? This simple reframe bypasses years of accumulated fear, doubt, and limiting behaviors. Your richest self might invest in that course instead of watching another free YouTube video. They might hire that assistant instead of doing everything themselves. They might take that business class flight instead of cramming into economy to save a few $100s. Future-casting your decisions means evaluating choices based on where you're going, not where you've been. When faced with an investment opportunity rather than dwelling on past losses, consider how this aligns with your future wealth strategy. Instead of letting previous salary negotiations hold you back, approach each conversation as if you're already commanding premium rates in your industry. Developing future-focused financial habits requires conscious practice. Start each morning by reviewing your day through the lens of your richest self. How would they structure their time? What meetings would they take? What conversations would they initiate? Let these questions guide your actions rather than defaulting to established patterns. Your richest self operates from a different set of assumptions about what's possible. They understand that past financial mistakes were necessary learning experiences, not predictors of future outcomes. They view setbacks as temporary course corrections rather than permanent limitations. This perspective allows them to make bold moves without being weighed down by historical baggage. Creating a timeline for your richest self's evolution involves mapping out the incremental shifts that bridge your current reality with your desired future. Each decision point becomes an opportunity to choose the future over the past. Each investment becomes a step toward embodying that wealthy identity, rather than a risky departure from your comfort zone. The power of acting from the future lies in its compound effect. Every choice made from your richest self's perspective creates momentum toward that reality. Each future-focused decision strengthens your new identity while weakening old patterns. Your brain begins to recognize this new way of operating as normal, making it progressively easier to maintain this elevated perspective. Your richest self isn't bound by your current circumstances. They operate from a place of expanded possibility, where resources are abundant and opportunities flow naturally. By consistently making decisions from this vantage point, you accelerate your journey toward becoming that person. The gap between who you are and who you're becoming narrows with each future lengthened choice, until eventually you find yourself naturally operating as your richest self. Lesson 4. Accept nothing less than your highest. Every time you settle for less than what your richest self deserves, you delay your own evolution. This isn't about being difficult or demanding. It's about honoring the highest version of who you're becoming. Your richest self understands that excellence isn't a destination, but a standard, a daily choice to elevate every interaction, decision, and experience. When you begin to raise your standards, you'll notice immediate resistance, both internal and external. People around you might question why you're suddenly so picky or high maintenance. Your own mind might try to convince you that you're being unreasonable or that you should be grateful for what you have. This resistance is natural. It's the friction between your emerging identity and the comfortable patterns of the past. Consider how your richest self approaches basic decisions. They don't choose their living space based solely on what they can afford right now, but on what environment will inspire their greatest work. They don't select clients or projects based on immediate revenue, but on long-term alignment and growth potential. They don't maintain relationships that drain their energy just because they've existed for years. Every choice becomes a declaration of value. This elevation of standards must extend beyond the obvious material choices. It's about the quality of your thoughts, the depth of your conversations, the intensity of your focus, and the clarity of your boundaries. Your richest self understands that time is their most precious asset and refuses to waste it on low-value activities or energy-draining interactions. They know that every moment spent in mediocrity is a moment stolen from excellence. The practice of maintaining high standards requires tremendous self-trust. You must believe that you deserve the best and that by refusing to settle, you're not being difficult, you're being true to your potential. This might mean walking away from opportunities that most would consider good enough. It might mean investing more than feels comfortable in your personal development, your business, or your environment. Your richest self recognizes that the short-term discomfort of maintaining high standards pales in comparison to the long-term pain of settling. Creating clear standards isn't about perfection, it's about progression. Start by auditing every area of your life, your work environment, your personal spaces, your relationships, your health practices, your learning habits, your financial decisions. Ask yourself, would my richest self accept this? If the answer is no, begin making adjustments, even if they must be gradual. Elevating your standards often requires educating others about your new boundaries. This isn't always comfortable, but it's essential. Your richest self understands that clear communication about their requirements isn't selfish, it's responsible. It allows others to choose whether they want to meet those standards and prevents future disappointment or resentment. As you consistently choose excellence over convenience, something remarkable happens. Your elevated standards begin to attract people and opportunities that match them. The universe has a way of rising to meet your expectations. What once seemed like demanding too much becomes your normal, and what once felt like luxury becomes your baseline. This is how wealth consciousness develops, not through sudden windfalls, but through the consistent choice to accept nothing less than your highest potential. Your richest self isn't waiting for permission to expect the best. They're not apologizing for their standards or shrinking to make others comfortable. They understand that by refusing to settle, they're not just creating a better life for themselves, they're setting an example that inspires others to raise their own standards. In this way, maintaining high standards becomes not just a personal practice, but a form of leadership and service to others. Lesson 5. The moment you truly understand that your wealthy future is inevitable, everything shifts. This isn't about pretending or using superficial positive thinking. It's about rewiring your neural pathways to operate from a place of absolute certainty in your financial evolution. When you think like your dream has arrived, you process information, make decisions, and solve problems from an entirely different mental framework. Consider how differently you approach challenges when you believe you have unlimited resources at your disposal. Rather than asking, "Can I afford this?" you ask, "Is this the best use of my resources?" Instead of wondering if an opportunity is too expensive, you evaluate whether it delivers sufficient value. This subtle but powerful shift in thinking creates a completely different set of solutions and possibilities. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment for evidence that supports your existing beliefs. When you think like your dream has already manifested, you begin noticing opportunities that were always there but previously invisible to you. That business connection you needed suddenly appears at a social event. The perfect investment opportunity arrives in your inbox. The mentor you've been seeking crosses your path at precisely the right moment. These aren't coincidences. They are the natural result of your brain operating from a prosperity-focused filter. Wealthy people don't wait for circumstances to change before adopting abundant thinking patterns. They understand that their thought processes create their circumstances, not the other way around. They make decisions based on where they're going, not where they are. When faced with a setback, they automatically search for the hidden opportunity or lesson, rather than falling into scarcity-based panic or fear. This shift requires deliberate cognitive restructuring. Start by catching yourself in scarcity-based thoughts and immediately reframing them. When you think, "I can't afford that," replace it with, "How can I create the resources for that?" When you worry about competition, shift to, "There's more than enough for everyone." When you fear loss, focus on the abundance of opportunities constantly being created. Your richest self already exists in the quantum field of possibility. By thinking like that version of you, you collapse those possibilities into your current reality. This means maintaining unwavering faith in your financial evolution, even when external circumstances haven't caught up yet. It means making decisions from a place of abundance rather than fear. It means treating your wealth as a matter of. This mindset shift transforms how you handle money in practical ways. You begin naturally investing in your growth rather than hoarding out of fear. You focus on value creation rather than cost cutting. You build relationships from a place of mutual benefit rather than need. You pursue opportunities that align with your long-term vision rather than chasing quick fixes. The wealthy think in terms of multiplication rather than addition. They don't ask how to save a few dollars, they ask how to multiply their resources tenfold. They don't look for jobs, they look for scalable opportunities. They don't chase clients, they create systems that naturally attract ideal customers. This exponential thinking becomes automatic when you operate as if your dream has already materialized. Your current financial reality is simply the result of your past thinking patterns. By consistently thinking like your dream has arrived, you're laying the neural groundwork for your new financial reality. Every decision, every conversation, every action becomes an expression of your richest self, naturally drawing you toward the wealth you know is already yours. Your brain doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. When you consistently think like your dream has arrived, you create new neural pathways that literally rewire your brain for wealth. This isn't about fooling yourself. It's about aligning your thought patterns with the future that's already yours for the claiming. Lesson 6. Let her or him leave. The most powerful version of you already exists, not in some distant future, but as an energy and presence you can tap into right now. This richest self isn't just a vision board fantasy or a someday dream, but rather an alter ego waiting to be embodied and expressed through your daily choices and action. Think of your richest self as an internal mentor and guide who has already achieved everything you're working toward. This version of you has mastered wealth consciousness, built the dream business, created the impact, and lives fully in abundance. When you face decisions or challenges, instead of reacting from your current perspective, pause and ask, how would my richest self handle this? This simple shift in viewpoint can dramatically alter your choices and their outcome. The key is making this alter ego tangible and real in your daily experience. Give your richest self a name if that helps you connect more deeply. Notice how they carry themselves, the posture, the breathing, the way they make eye contact and command presence in a room. Practice embodying these qualities when you're alone, then gradually bring them into your interactions with others. Your physical presence shapes your psychology, and vice versa. Your richest self likely speaks differently than you do now. They may use more powerful language, ask better questions, and communicate with greater clarity and intention. Practice using their vocabulary and speech patterns. Remove hedge words like just, maybe, and kind of that diminish your power. Make declarations instead of suggestions. State prices and proposals with conviction rather than apologetically. The way your richest self dresses and presents themselves matters too. While this doesn't mean spending beyond your means, it does mean thoughtfully curating an appearance that matches where you're going, not where you've been. Choose clothing and accessories that make you feel confident and successful. Consider how your richest self would style their hair, maintain their grooming, and carry themselves. This alter ego can also guide your daily routines and rituals. Your richest self likely has morning practices that set them up for success, perhaps meditation, movement, journaling, or strategic planning. They probably have evening routines that help them integrate the day's lessons and prepare for tomorrow. Adopt these habits now, even if they feel aspirational at first. When you consistently embody your richest self, you'll notice external reality beginning to shift to match this internal transformation. Opportunities that align with your elevated identity will appear more frequently. People will respond to you differently, picking up on your enhanced confidence and capability. Resources and support will manifest more readily as you operate from this empowered state. This isn't about pretending or being inauthentic. It's about accessing the highest version of who you truly are. Your richest self represents your fullest potential expressed. By letting them lead now, you accelerate your journey to becoming them completely. Make it a practice to check in with this wiser aspect of yourself throughout each day. Let their perspective inform your choices, their energy fuel your actions, and their wisdom guide your path forward. The more you align with and embody your richest self, the more naturally and inevitably their reality becomes your own. Lesson 7. Say no to what doesn't fit that identity. Your richest self requires space to emerge and flourish. This space isn't created by adding more to your life. It's created through strategic elimination. Every yes to something that doesn't align with your wealthiest identity is a no to what does. The art of becoming your richest self lies not just in what you pursue, but in what you deliberately choose to relieve. Think of your life as a pristine art gallery. Each piece you allow into that space either elevates or diminishes the overall experience. Your richest self demands a carefully curated collection of relationships, activities, and commitments that reflect your highest vision. This means developing an acute awareness of what belongs in your gallery and what needs to be gracefully removed. The relationships you maintain profoundly impact your wealth consciousness. Some connections naturally uplift you toward your richest identity, while others subtly anchor you to outdated versions of yourself. Consider the people in your life who celebrates your growth. who unconsciously reinforces limiting patterns. Your richest self requires an inner circle that mirrors your aspirations, not your history. Your daily habits and activities form the foundation of your identity. Each action either builds toward your wealthiest self or maintains ties to lesser versions of you. This isn't about judgment, it's about alignment. That mindless scrolling, those unnecessary meetings, the obligations you've outgrown, these aren't inherently bad. They simply don't serve the identity you're stepping into. Creating a not-to-do list becomes as crucial as your to-do list. This isn't a list of tasks you're procrastinating on. It's a deliberate inventory of activities, behaviors, and patterns you're choosing to release. Your richest self doesn't engage in scarcity-based thinking, compromise on self-care, or participate in energy-draining conversations. By clearly defining what you won't do, you automatically elevate what you will do. The art of saying no requires both clarity and compassion. Your richest self doesn't need to explain, defend, or apologize for maintaining high standards. A simple, "this doesn't align with my current focus," becomes your pathway to protection of your time and energy. Each refusal creates space for opportunities that match your evolving identity. Time and energy are your most precious wealth-building resources. Every moment spent in activities that don't serve your richest self is a moment unavailable for those that do. This isn't about being busy, it's about being purposeful. Your wealthiest identity requires focused attention on high-value pursuits that compound over time. Your physical spaces also need to align with your richest identity. That cluttered desk, chaotic closet, or disorganized finances create subtle resistance to your evolution. Your environment should inspire and support your highest self, not remind you of who you used to be. Release the physical items that anchor you to past identities. As you practice strategic elimination, notice how your energy shifts. Saying no to what doesn't serve creates immediate expansiveness. Your richest self emerges more fully in the space you've created. This isn't about deprivation, it's about curation. Each conscious no becomes a powerful yes to your wealthiest identity. This process of elimination is ongoing. As you continue to evolve, what once served you may no longer fit. Stay attuned to subtle signs of misalignment. Your richest self requires regular reassessment and release of anything that doesn't support your highest vision. The more precisely you curate your life, the more naturally you embody your wealthiest identity. Lesson 8. Step into legacy-level thinking. When you begin to think in terms of legacy, everything changes. Your decisions acquire deeper meaning, your actions carry greater weight, and your vision extends far beyond the immediate horizon. Legacy-level thinking isn't just about leaving something behind. It's about creating something that grows, evolves, and continues to serve long after you're gone. Consider how differently you might approach your daily choices if you knew they would impact not just your life, but the lives of generations to come. That investment you're considering? It's no longer about quick returns, but about creating lasting value that compounds over decades. The business you're building? It becomes a vehicle for change that could employ and empower thousands over time. Your wealth-building strategy shifts from accumulation to multiplication, from consumption to creation. Legacy thinking transforms how you view money itself. Instead of seeing it as a means of purchasing power, you recognize it as a tool for change, a seed that, when planted wisely, grows into a forest that provides shelter, sustenance, and sustainability for countless others. This perspective naturally guides you toward investments and ventures that have the potential for exponential impact, whether that's funding educational initiatives, supporting technological innovations, or creating systems that solve enduring problems. Your richest self understands that true wealth creation isn't just about personal abundance, but about fostering prosperity that ripples outward. This might mean starting a foundation that supports cause close to your heart, creating scholarship programs that enable others to pursue their dreams, or building businesses that prioritize long-term value over short-term profits. When you think in terms of legacy, you naturally seek out opportunities that serve both present and future generations. The beauty of legacy-level thinking is how it elevates your daily decisions. That extra hour you spend perfecting your craft, just about today's success, it's about setting standards of excellence that others will follow. The relationships you nurture aren't merely for current benefit, but for creating networks of support and opportunity that can benefit others for years to come. Even your approach to learning shifts, as you seek not just to acquire knowledge, but to develop wisdom that can be passed down. This expanded timeline perspective also helps you weather short-term setbacks with greater resilience. When you're building for generations rather than quarters, temporary market fluctuations or business challenges become mere blips in a much larger story. You develop the patience to let your investments mature, the wisdom to make decisions based on long-term value rather than immediate gratification, and the courage to stand by your convictions even when they're tested. Legacy thinking also influences how you structure your wealth. Instead of focusing solely on accumulation, you begin to consider vehicles for preservation and distribution, trusts, foundations, educational funds, and sustainable business models that can continue to generate value independently. You might explore impact investing, where your capital supports both financial returns and positive social change, or create business systems that can be replicated and scaled by others. Your richest self recognizes that the greatest legacies aren't built on money alone, but on the values, principles, and wisdom that guide its use. This means documenting your journey, sharing your insights, and actively mentoring others who can carry forward your vision. It means creating not just wealth, but a blueprint for generating and sustaining wealth that others can follow and improve upon. As you embrace legacy-level thinking, you'll find yourself naturally drawn to bigger questions and bolder visions. You'll begin to measure success not in years, but in generations, not in dollars, but in lives improved, not in personal achievements, but in lasting impact. This is where your richest self truly emerges, in the space where personal success transforms into enduring significance. Lesson 9. Show up like the money's already here. The way you carry yourself, interact with others, and navigate daily situations speaks volumes about your self-perception and, ultimately, your financial destiny. When you truly embody the energy of your wealthiest self, you naturally attract corresponding opportunities, relationships, and resources. This isn't about pretending or putting on airs, it's about authentically aligning your presence with your inevitable wealthy future. Consider how differently you move through the world when you feel completely secure versus when you're worried about money. Your wealthy self walks with unhurried confidence, speaks with measured authority, and maintains composure under pressure. This version of you doesn't rush to fill silence in negotiations, doesn't apologize for taking up space, and doesn't shrink in high-stakes situations. By embodying these qualities now, you accelerate their manifestation in your material reality. Your wealthy self understands that time is a precious asset. Rather than frantically rushing from one commitment to another, you move with purposeful intention. You arrive early to meetings, fully prepared and centered. You take time to properly groom and dress in a way that makes you feel powerful and polished. These aren't superficial concerns. They're external reflections of internal worth and self-respect. In conversations and business dealings, your wealthy self operates from a position of choice rather than need. You listen more than you speak, ask insightful questions, and maintain comfortable eye contact. You're not afraid to request what you want or to pause before making decisions. This calm confidence comes from knowing that abundance is your natural state and that no single opportunity makes or breaks your success. Your wealthy self also understands the power of environment. You choose settings that reflect and reinforce your affluent identity. This might mean working from upscale locations, maintaining an organized workspace, or investing in quality tools and materials. While you don't need luxury to be successful, consciously upgrading your surroundings signals to your subconscious mind that you're serious about your evolution. Money already here energy shows up in how you handle your current resources. Instead of operating from scarcity, you manage what you have with respect and attention. You track your finances meticulously, maintain order in your spaces, and treat every dollar as an important team member in your wealth-building mission. This level of care attracts more resources naturally. Money flows where attention goes. Your relationship with time also shifts when you embody your wealthy identity. Rather than constantly watching the clock or feeling rushed, you operate from a space of temporal abundance. You take time to think through decisions, invest in relationships, and pursue opportunities thoroughly. This measured approach, paradoxically, helps you accomplish more while feeling less stressed. The energy of your wealthy self extends to how you treat others. You're generous with praise, quick to acknowledge contributions, and willing to connect people with opportunities. You understand that true wealth multiplies through sharing and that lifting others accelerates your own rise. This abundance mentality becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy as your network expands with high-quality connections. Embodying your wealthy self isn't about perfection, it's about progression. Some days you'll align more naturally with this energy than others. What matters is your consistent intention to show up as your highest self, making choices that reflect where you're going rather than where you've been. As you practice this presence daily, the gap between your current reality and your wealthy future naturally closes, creating a seamless evolution into the person you're meant to become. Lesson 10. Celebrate becoming that person. The art of celebration isn't just about marking milestones, it's about reinforcing your identity as your richest self. When you acknowledge and honor each step of your transformation, you cement these changes into your neural pathways and accelerate your evolution. Your richest self understands that celebration is a strategic tool for growth, not merely an occasional indulgence. True celebration begins with recognizing the subtle shifts in your behavior and thinking. Perhaps you handled a challenging conversation with newfound confidence, made a decision from abundance rather than scarcity, or chose to invest in yourself without hesitation. These moments deserve recognition because they represent your richest self emerging into reality. By celebrating these instances, you train your brain to seek more opportunities for growth and transformation. Your richest self approaches celebration differently than your former self might have. Instead of waiting for external validation or major achievements, you learn to honor the internal victories that others might not see. The day you choose to speak up in a meeting with executive-level confidence, the moment you decline an opportunity that doesn't align with your highest vision, or the instance you make a bold move without seeking permission, these are the transformational moments that shape your wealthy identity. The celebration of your emerging richest self should align with the identity you're stepping into. This might mean treating yourself to experiences that your wealthy self would naturally enjoy, investing in relationships that reflect your elevated standards, or creating environments that mirror your expanding prosperity. The key is to celebrate in ways that reinforce rather than contradict your wealthy identity. Consider how your richest self would acknowledge progress. Rather than temporary indulgences that don't serve your growth, choose celebrations that compound your success. This might mean investing in high-level mentorship, upgrading your professional wardrobe, or creating spaces that inspire creativity and abundance. Each celebration becomes an investment in your continued evolution. This celebration also involves sharing your transformation with others who support your vision. Your richest self understands the power of community and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who celebrate your growth. These might be mentors who've walked similar paths, peers who share your aspirations, or team members who benefit from your expansion. Their recognition and support amplify your transformation. The most powerful form of celebration is embodying your richest self with increasing consistency. Each day presents opportunities to step more fully into this identity through your decisions, your interactions, and your presence. As you celebrate these choices, you create a positive feedback loop that makes wealthy behavior your natural state rather than an effort. Celebration isn't about perfection, but progress. Your richest self understands that transformation is a journey of continuous expansion. By celebrating each step, you maintain momentum and enthusiasm for the process. You develop a deeper appreciation for the person you're becoming and the impact you're creating in the world. Your richest self knows that celebration is a form of gratitude in action. It's an acknowledgement of your growth, a recognition of your potential, and a commitment to your continued evolution. As you master the art of celebrating your transformation, you'll find that wealth naturally flows toward the person you've become. Someone who expects and embraces abundance in all its forms.